Hey, 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 this is Pendulum TV. Press on the red button to subscribe, hit on the bell icon to get notifications, like, comment, and share this video. Thank you.
Make mistakes and all. But if these things happen, let's be careful not to drag his name into the mud,
into disrepute.
Or into disrepute. We need to respect and accord him that, respect and reverence that he is our king. No matter what it is, no matter what mistake he commits, let's deal with the issue and leave the personality and his office out of it. Let's not use whichever mistake it is as a reason or as a yardstick to drag him into the mud. If we do that, we are putting our future in danger. Because as a matter of fact, if you take even the religious leaders, I mean, he's the last man to run to. If anything happens in this country, to a large extent, if you want that father figure who would eventually tell you guys to sit down and behave responsibly, he's the last person to run to. So let's be careful not to destroy him. Let's be very, 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 very careful not to destroy him or destroy his office or usurp his authority. It is very dangerous if we get to that point, because even the world over sees him as one of the topmost personalities to reach out to or to look up to. So in dealing with
to be called to make a statement on that platform.
Yes. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So let's be very, very, very careful the way we deal with this. Yes, he says something that majority feel wasn't the case. Mahama has come out clearly to state that no, even before the final result was mentioned, I had considered defeat. And as a matter of fact, moved ahead to call my opponent, speak to him.
And even some decision makers of his party, that is the NDC, as well as some influential people in society.
That he had already done that before the final result was mentioned. And you can only persuade the person to accept defeat after the results has been mentioned and he still proves adamant, or he's still feeling or acting stubborn. Then you can call them or call him to order. But if this has been done even before the results were mentioned, clearly, yes, he must have said something that wasn't the case. Let's leave it there and deal with the issue. All these statements coming from the Menshia Police and from Kumasi,
I hear there is something called Ashanti Youth Association.
No, I think it's unnecessary and uncalled for. Then it makes the whole thing look like even if the king has said something which is not right, you dare not speak about it. But what we should understand is that yes, he is Otumfuo, he is a king, well respected, revered, but he is the king of the Ashanti kingdom. So the Gans, the Ebers, our fellow Nordness also have their lots. So do not bunch all of them into one basket and make it seem like if he says this, that is it. No, the other factions will revolt. And that is where the tribalism or tribal card becomes very dangerous if we start playing it. Let's not make the whole thing look like the whole of Ghana revolves around just the king. No. He's a king, he's respected and revered, like I said, but he's a king for a certain group of people. That must be established and that must be noted. So all these statements coming out and making the whole thing look like even if he's wrong, you dare not speak, and people saying that they won't allow Mahama to come to Kumasi to campaign and so on and so forth. The road to power.
I hear he had a program, then that program has been cancelled or postponed or something.
The road to power passes through the Ashanti kingdom or passes. No. I think these statements are uncalled for, and it makes the whole thing look like without them, no president can be chosen, or without them, no president can win an election. But for crying out loud, how many votes with regards to the NDC, what is their political, there's a word for it, fortunes that come from the Ashanti region? If you were saying this to the NPP, yes, you might have a point, because yes, the Ashanti region is the NPP stronghold. But if you're saying this to the NDC, that power passes through Ashanti, no, they will feel like, what are you trying to tell us? So let's deal with the issue. And these statements are making it possible or have opened the floodgates for people who are no close to what the king stands for to say all sort of dirty things to him.
Especially on social media.
No. No, I think by now they should cease and desist from all those press statements coming from that quarters.
All commentaries should
cease. It should cease. It should cease. He has spoken. He has spoken. Final.
He has spoken.
Yes.
The people he wanted to send the message to,
the message has been sent. It is gone.
Say onene joining nya dwen kan anuntu na ima yemfa kasa kasa bebe ko onya kana ye obi ya
retaliate. If you speak and you speak like without us, nothing can move on. In fact, what our king has said is final. To hell with what you think or what you say. No, people won't agree because, as a matter of fact, he's a king for a certain area of people or a certain group of people. You can't extend it to cover all Ghanaians. No. And people will not sit down for you to act like that towards them. Once they
so the bottom line is that
they should keep quiet. Good. They should keep quiet.
Whether you are an Ashanti or blah blah
just
blah.
Just keep quiet. He has spoken. Mahama, that the thing was directly related to, has also spoken. Let's leave it there. All the other statements and blah. Because when you issue, they'll counter issue. If it comes, they'll counter you. If whatever you do, they'll counter it. NDC, the other regions, they'll all speak. So please, just keep quiet. Just keep quiet. The king, please let them keep quiet. It's not necessary.
In fact, there should even be a directive from, say, Manchester Palace or something that no further commentary from any faction, any group. No one should comment on it again.
In fact, if the king has spoken, what else are you saying? As a matter of fact, if the king has spoken,
are you wiser
than the king? And what they are doing is even more dangerous, because the more they issue statements and all these things become very porous and people punch holes into it, it makes the king look like Onimdiakosun Wayekum. And so Onimdiakosun Wayekum, that means he endorses it. But that shouldn't be the case. That shouldn't be the case. Because when they attack, they don't attack the people who put out the statement. They attack the king. Yes.
For instance, this one I heard one from Ashanti Youth Association, Ayah. And the way they were talking.
And when you do that, they attack the king. They don't attack Ayah. Nobody knows Ayah to attack Ayah. They will attack the king, and we don't need this for our king. Let's protect him. He is our last man standing. Let's protect him. Let's make him look the way he's supposed to look. Strong, powerful. Once he speaks, everything must come to a halt. Even if he makes a mistake, let's deal with the mistake and leave it there. Let not smear the king with all these, unnecessary comments coming out and allowing people like, even myself to speak the way I speak.
You told me you were very sad reading some commentaries and comments on social media.
Yes.
Yeah, you
very,
told me,
very sad.
You told me you were sad.
Yes.
But you've never seen that in your life.
No. Charlie, me, I'm an Ewe boy. I respect the king. There's no way I will publicly go out there and disrespect the king. Write it for it to be recorded. Because whatever it is you write is recorded.
One day someone can go for it.
You can be referred to it. And people calling him names and all sort of things. No. But it's because of these statements coming out. That's why folks who have the nerves and the locals to stand on and say all the things they say to the king. So let's let the king rest. He needs some rest. Now let's move on to the Independence Square. But how do you
know someone who is going through this at the moment?
Fortunately, me and my siblings and all those around me have gone past that stage.
Okay.
It's directly, I don't know anybody. Directly, no.
In fact, when you know someone going through it, it is more hurtful than you don't have anything to do with it. Hey, they will call you every day. Oh, brother, Sammy, still with me.
I had those calls when it was time for national service, a few calls here and there, but now all those things. But Sammy, it is sad. It is sad to have our moms and our kid brothers gather at the Independence Square day in, day out, and then you make a statement as some of these things or some of the collapses were staged. No, it shouldn't. Even if it did happen, which you don't say. Because as a matter of fact, it will be very difficult for you to convince people that truly that was staged. Because the circumstances leading to that.
That one I disagree with you. If he knows it happened and he wouldn't say it.
No, you don't say it.
If he knows,
yes, you still don't say it. Not now.
No.
Sammy, unless you want to achieve cheap political points.
No, if he knows,
Sammy,
if he knows, then he can say it.
No, even if you know, you don't say it now. You don't say it, Sammy. It's quite intemperate.
Because no. Man for a cannibal, and I'm not my main.
And you be a nim in the kind of track again. Sammy, as a matter of fact, what the people are going through at the Independence Square
and the whole process,
if you're told that somebody faints, it makes sense. If you're told that somebody collapsed, it makes sense because the people are there, they're not even getting water to drink. Food is difficult. So if somebody collapses, it makes sense. It will be difficult for you to tell me that under the circumstance, people are not supposed to collapse because they've been given chairs.
Even on days that they go there to match,
yes,
where water and some 1 or 2 refreshment is provided for them, some people still collapse.
So how then do you convince me that the collapse was staged? If everything shows clearly that yes, people could collapse under the circumstance, it's not as if they've been given chairs or have been asked to sit under some canopy. They've been made to feel comfortable, and then somebody goes on to collapse, and you can say, oh, this one could be staged. Everything surrounding whatever is happening shows clearly that yes, if somebody collapsed, it makes sense because they could. There's no water. The sun is scorching. The people are standing, moving. They will say,
at the point I saw them running, I don't know if you've seen a video. Some Paul's JS video, they were running helter-skelter.
And people are frustrated. You have women whose children had 6 ones or what ones, no placement. Some people have 20-something or 30-something, have placement. All these things coupled together, yes, people would collapse. So if you come and tell me that collapse was staged, it will be very difficult for me to believe you. Because the truth is, with what is happening, people could actually collapse.
I see.
So you don't say that now.
The minister also said something. I don't know if he made sense there. He said, "Why would you send the young ones to the Independence Square as well?" He thought they were not needed there. How about that? How about that statement?
Now, if I have a child, young ones like toddlers,
no, the leavers, those who are looking for school.
Why wouldn't they go there? Why wouldn't they are going to school.
He thinks all that you need to do is to come there with your placement and your placement form and your results.
Now you are dealing with majority mothers or fathers, excuse me to say, some of whom haven't been to school, and the only people who could read what is on the board and actually explain to them would be their kids or their wards who have gone to school and have completed. They will tell you, Mama, midini school way, so me buy midini. So if you're asking,
me and my mom, we are a critical example of what you are saying.
So na say obe bisa sa ma minister dint no de akwala no ko ho. What, excuse me to say, what sense do you want the mom to derive from that statement? That's what I'm saying. There are certain things you know, but under certain circumstances you don't make such statements. Now is not the time for you to tell me that the collapses were staged. No. By who? For what? So yes, who created the mess for the collapse to be staged? If you say the collapse was staged,
agreed.
Who created the mess for the collapse to be staged? How did we get to the point where somebody will take advantage of your arrangement to create things that make you look bad? How was that created? Somebody had a school in Agogo. The person lives at Yekani Sendowenya as a day student. Will he become a wizard and be flying in and out?
We would go and rent a room for the 18-year-old girl, let her live alone. She wakes up and she goes to
and that
school.
becomes more expensive than the free SHS.
You are even talking about just the expensive nature.
No, yes, that's an only flagship program, no. But that is even more expensive than the free SHS.
Security and the welfare or the well-being of the child is even also here.
And this kidnap on rampant days, Charlie.
Temamoto we yenuanum. We understand they have told us that they are working on the road. So now that the situation is like that, if you happen to ply the road, please do 40 kilometers per hour. If you do 120, 140, before you hear pop, now I saw the question, baby. Yesterday, our brother was furious. I'm sure he was also driving fast and furious. Before he knew, he was in the manhole. And so, Fushket, sorry for yesterday. Fushket, sorry for yesterday. But it is in the pipeline. They will fix it. Keep paying the tolls. They will fix it. The education thing too, please. Go there with your forms. Go there with your results.
And placement
forms. Listen to what the minister is saying. Maybe he is making a great deal of wisdom. Please listen. Don't politicize it. The rest, let's pray to God for answers. This is the news today, and it is called the socio-political segment on Showbiz Agenda. It makes a whole lot of sense to listen to this because it prepares you for the future. Tony Asankuma, 3 issues on board. You can pick 1 or 2, and we'll run with it. Mr. Mike Honor has joined us in the studio, and I know you're also part of it. So remember to send us your views, your opinions, devoid of insults and personal attacks. Let's do that on at Xylophone 1021, at Xylophone 1021. Remember, the hashtag we are using is still Showbiz Agenda. It hasn't changed. Showbiz Agenda. Let's do more. Tony, take over.
Let me not even attempt to go near the Menchia Palace.
The UN there.
Yes, okay. Those issues are very, very, they are very, very
sensitive and delicate. Yeah, I understand.
I don't want to be someone.
I understand.
Yes.
In fact, that is life. What you don't know, you don't touch.
Yeah. So, Independence Square and placement issues. I think as a country, we have this habit of wasting resources, and one of the biggest resources we waste in this country is time. We waste a lot of time on things that can be solved easily. At this point in our lives as a country, I don't think people need to be forced to go and gather at a place to solve issues because they want to go to school. I've seen the video, and I'm somebody, I'm scared of crowds. Okay, I don't like when I see a crowd. I get anxiety attacks.
You are crowd phobia.
Yes, I don't, especially when it's disorganized. I can deal with maybe people sitting down in orderly fashion, but when I see a crowd,
I understand you have eye defect, so it makes you feel like
it makes me
a whirlwind is blowing around you.
So when I saw the video online yesterday, I panicked. I was thinking of all the worst things that could have possibly happened in that situation. So I feel for the minister to come out and say they were staged it's first of all insensitive of him, and it was needless. I agree with Arnold when he says, even if you know that people were paid 20 Ghana cedis and 50 Ghana cedis to faint, there's no need for you to say it at this point. Because indeed, there were people who fainted. For all you know, there are other people during that rush or that video that I saw of people running, there were people who got hurt.
Of course.
But didn't get cameras to capture them, didn't have anyone interviewing them. Some might even, this thing when you have adrenaline in you can get hurt and you not even realize till maybe 3 days later.
I know.
And then it causes you a lot of pain. So it's very insensitive for him to be on radio and say that it was staged. So we shouldn't give, is he trying to say we shouldn't give credence or attach any form of gravity to the seriousness of this situation? When at this point, a simple system could be put in place where anybody could just sit at home and check their placement. If there's any problem with it, they can still do it from wherever they are instead of driving or converging at the Independence Square. Is it that difficult? I mean, we talk about creating jobs. What if people were employed to have satellite centers where people can go and resolve these issues instead of having them all gather at one place?
I think this is also wisdom, because every district would have this peculiar problem. And why don't you create it for them, like you do the election centers? Like you do for the
Even that one cry is another issue that is a waste of time to me, because why would you have to be at work and now you have to leave work and go and probably queue just to go and confirm that your name is in the voters register, when again a system could be put in place where from the comfort of your home you can just check and confirm. It's like we have this habit of wasting our times on things. Look at the number of people that gathered at the Independence Square. Most of them are workers. Look at the amount of man hours as a nation we would have lost if we can calculate it. There were traders who left their works to be there.
Of course.
There were office workers who had to leave work, even some without permission, to be there just to make sure that whatever issues they have is resolved, and then you sit on radio and insensitively say it was staged. Yes, granted, it was staged, but like Arnold asked, what created the atmosphere for someone to sit back and say, okay, let me capitalize on this and pay people 20 Ghana cedis and 50 Ghana cedis to stage? What created that? Why did someone even think of that when we could have easily avoided that situation? I think it behooves on us as a nation to again, I ask, prior to this whole placement thing, what sort of education, sensitization was done so that people would understand that they do not all have to throng to that place to get their issues resolved? And now you're on radio saying that if you don't have your results, you can't print out your placement. How many of these parents know this? When were they educated about this? When were they informed about this? It's confusing how we leave some of these things to chance and then expect things to be okay in this country. I remember I was in 2005, the first year of the computer placement. I happened to be in that batch. I remember all the chaos that came with that, because a lot of people did not even understand what was happening. I remember there was a time I was listening to radio. One woman called and was a computer. I remember
that man's story. I said your name is Kromufo. I'm back to check computer no mabono because computer no harm.
People didn't even understand what was going on. But some of these things, it requires that you educate people before you put these things in place. Even if it's a whole year of education and sensitization, you have to do it so that people understand that this is the process. This is what I have to do. I don't have to leave home and go here. I can sit in the comfort of my home, buy maybe a scratch card, access this platform, get everything I need. If need be, if there are any issues that I need to report, this is where I go to report, even from the comfort of my home, and it will make our lives easier. We don't have to be queuing. We don't have to be wasting time. Sammy, it's scary, and I think I'll reiterate. He's saying that it was staged. I mean, at this point, very, very insensitive. Instead of offering words of encouragement to the people and telling them that, look, yes, we admit that you might have erred in
our approach.
But please exercise some restraint. Just stay calm, relax. This is the first step of something greater. Use words like that to convince people that indeed you are thinking of their good, and then you are working at making sure that things get better for them. You don't sit on radio and be like, okay, let's not care about them because people took 20 CDs, 50 CDs to stage it.
Okay, thank you so much. And this is the platform for you, the youthful person, that you also have a say. And interestingly, all of us will be voting. Yeah, all of us will be voting. So why don't we also talk about what is affecting us? Why don't we also talk about what is good for us? Let's do this, and let's do more on the news today. A segment on showbiz agenda before we move into real issues in our showbiz industry. Now, for you, Mason, which one are you also talking about? And Mr. Na will close it for us.
First of all, I want to start with the school replacements, because if more time when the MPP government or when the MPP parties, the flaws on one thing, they try to put the blame on someone else. They come up with excuses where they want to point fingers at the wrong people or want to point finger at the wrong places. Because how can you say over 5,000 to 6,000 people that were there packed like sardine in one
sardine.
Yeah. Seriously, packed
like sardine.
Yeah.
My favorite brand of sardine is Titus.
You understand? Where they are running, both old and young, running on a particular speed, and you think nobody's going to fall or nobody's going to get hurt on that part. And there's some certain section to where you get to, you've been beaten.
Oh,
yes.
You've seen videos of that too?
you know, fortunately to where I was.
Okay, I'm sure that one was security flaws. Those who were supposed to maybe guide some places, and some people were being stubborn. You need to be whipped small.
So, Sammy, are you saying based on the fact that you've been employed to be a security vet? In fact, don't let us go into those issues. No. When we go there, it was always other interesting issues. When we talk about security people and their mishaps at work, it goes beyond the people there. Then are you saying if my father, maybe my father or my mother were to be there, you're going to whip my mother or whip my father?
Don't cross this line. Just listen. If we tell you not to cross this line.
Sammy, there's a whole lot of things going on there. For them to come out to say, oh, it's a stage thing.
Okay, let's help the minister. He said some. He said some of them were staged.
Who has that time to go stage? Oh, was he also staged?
Oh, can we also underrate the fact that some people can?
No, Sammy, was he also staged that someone that's all the way that lives all the way in Kumasi was placed here in Accra and given a day school as a day student?
That is the work of the placement, and according to the minister, if you have such a peculiar case, you report it to them to see how best they can help you.
Now I'm there to report it. Fortunately, the crowd is too much. Maybe I'm asthmatic or something. I collapsed. You're telling me it's staged. Am I
an actor?
That's good as an actor? No, Sammy, it's you see.
So you see this as another opportunity for someone to shift blame.
They are just shifting blame, shifting cultivation. They just want, for me, I said it some days ago, sometimes when you talk, they want to pick on you, they want to look for you, they want to punish you, they want to do a lot of things. This government is family and friends government.
What kind of education are we?
No.
Okay. His name is Ayah Mensah, special effects person, and he is the boss of Nefi Visuals, a member of one of the creative people in Ghana. Today, FICAG will be coming here, and Ayah Mensah should be a member of FICAG. That is the Film Crew Association of Ghana. Ayah has been a crew member since. He has also acted in some one or two scenes, sometimes acting like a gay and all that. Today, when we get into the serious show business, we'll talk about that. But Mr. Maikena is here. Mr. Maikena Akwaba. Is your ward looking for placement, or they've gone past it, or they are yet to get there?
Yet to get there. Yet to get
there. So this is what we have to do. Let's hustle, let's and make more money. So when we get there and we think it is a problem, we use the other lane. Quick! The way we are hustling to look for money, you're showing a very and visa fees. Sika one. Independence. So let's hustle. Oh my goodness. Mr. Now, take over. Which of the issues are you talking about?
I bring you greetings from Dream Studios.
Okay.
So, Tony is afraid of crowd.
Yeah.
And the technical name is inochlophobia.
Yes. Out of the name Enoch.
And out of the name Enoch. Yes.
Inochlophobia. Okay.
Phobia. Phobia is fear.
Phobia the Accra folk ending the name.
Anyway, fear. Educational minister, he's one fine gentleman. From where I stand, my perception about him is that of a man who is very smart and very intelligent. Unfortunately, sometimes they get into the spirit of politics and it doesn't go too well. Like this one. I'd love to hear the whole conversation, but just taking this out of, I wouldn't want to take this out of context.
Okay.
But be it as it may, you know, he says some were staged. I would want to look at it from a slightly different angle.
Good.
Ghana, for I think, say, our over-reliance on the politicians, no, and why?
Solid point.
What you say?
Mm-hmm. But I would ask you something. Though I admit it's a solid point, yes. I'll ask you.
Yes, and why? Because I think, say, a dream maybe. I think we need to take our destinies into our own hands.
Is it possible? Is it possible? Because do you know why? You know why I said it's a solid point, but I have a question.
Yeah.
We live in a country where powers have been put into the hands of some people to take decisions for you and I.
That is true.
So if you say you want to take things into your own hands now, are you going to create your own school?
Brother, it is possible. Yes, it is possible to create your own school.
How?
We have home tuitions. All right, we have.
Oh, okay,
yes.
Now, Bani baby, no, question business certificate you.
Brasami, we have. There's this lady in Parliament, Safu Kantanka Babano. She was home schooled throughout. Odru baby no apply for law school, and she became a lawyer. But she doesn't have classmates. What do you say? So that is also possible.
How many of us can do that?
Of course, it falls on the money. But even with that, no, even those of the children on Moko school now say Ombeye homeschool or Ombeye extra classes with fear. What do you say? And see, even with that, no, it can still happen. What do you say? If we are serious as parents, I think we should begin looking in that direction. It will be expensive, but where there's a will, there's always a way. What do you say? Now, the unfortunate part of all these things is that as one government seems to be goofy, you know, another government will be, or another political party will be taking advantage of that, riding on the backs of our grievances,
our errors,
our grievances, no, and then try to make meat out of that. What do I say? Only for another party to come to power and then also treat us the same way. What do I say? So I think, say, as Ghanaians, so
at every point in time, some people also take advantage of the situation.
That is true. That is true, and that is why this minister will come out and say, part of some of the things were staged, because he could also read the political meaning into it. You know, the opposition will also be deriving political points from it. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, who suffers? It is you and I. What do I say? And the Omo de destiny go at press consider be.
Could you see a bill?
No, I mean it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. We have only one life, Obrasami. This is all the life we have. We are not like
I hear some spiritual cats. They have 3 lives.
Spiritual cats.
Yeah, not the physical ones.
What I say? So my admonition is that listen, struggle, hustle. And make the best out of your life. There are options. There is. Let me tell you this thing. There's someone once wrote, and I it sounded hilarious, but I felt there was some sense in it. I'll say you spend money to go to school, spend money to graduate, spend money to go and look for a job, only for you to come and make money out of that. Why don't you start making the money right away?
From beginning number and you know and Landy. You say yes when you are going to school you spend money.
You spend money. At the end of the day, what's the
you are going to show how to get money in future.
Exactly. And so what's the kana? I then I will invest the preko.
Until purchasing ne bia me ba emi mahu so obetimi apamadia. Ma start here to machines a goofy. Na ne ya so no pa kri no pamsa.
What you say? Ne hia ne say obe developing the business acumen. What you say? At the end of and then the communication skills.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, me I if I had my way as an educational somebody, I think my proposition would be that let's tighten the vocational skills. what you say? Let's tighten the technical and the vocational skills. Let's attach business studies to it, and then of course our English and maths for basic, communication and calculation. What you say? This should all be the courses that we should learn in school. The rest should be technical.
Okay.
Because that is where the job is. Brother, which of us here are a bedroom? Yeah, it is studio hand. But we are trained. The educational system is training people to learn how to write application letters. Even in the department of entrepreneurship, people are learning how to write application letters. I say, are you crazy? Sorry for my French, but that's okay. I mean, how bad can it get? Learn how to write proposals instead of application letters. What I say? Me say brasami, me wa dream way. You interested you see etia pound ho aka ho what is correct? Yes, let's make money out of it. That's how the life is supposed to be. Instead of this and then you see some Charlie, I saw somebody on the sun the other day and I was like, oh, she black suit.
A brown envelope.
Thank you. You know what's up. You know what's up. Or call for interview.
Brown envelope every 2 days be your talk fresh.
Thank you.
Because okita ni semno
Thank you.
2 days be operating for. Every what me print be 10 good them. And every 2 days be no apply envelope not for shame na or kosa.
And the chorus is you hear from us. You hear from us.
I know. I not only if you can at that time with the other okay, Charlie. So you have the next meeting and all things be like, I'll present your case and I'll give you a call. And you exchange numbers.
What did I say? So this is what we are going through as a nation. None of the political parties has got the solution. None of them. We need to take the destinies into our own hands. Akwalawe, well, gone are the days say football no for Kobolo boys. Music is for Kobolo boys.
Good.
So musicians are having degrees and masters. What did I say? So that myth has been broken.
Yes.
If you see a lot of them. Last time I was listening to Shatawale and Sakwana. Also, one of his regrets is Oko school too much. But honestly, I think basically, what we need to cement to build our foundation as a people is just our communication skills, which is it could be any language. Maybe our language is English, fine.
Yeah.
We could add maybe China or Chinese or maybe French or something. In addition to that, build your communication skills, build your business skills, and then follow your talent.
And you are good to go. Great points there, Mr. Michael, now for sharing this with us. And I believe Mr. Michael now has a studio. When we come back, we'll be talking about that. If you want to use any studio at all, he has one for you. So get ready for that one. It is now time to read your tweets. Thank you so much for sending them to us. We are also part of decision making. As much as you and I, we have ID cards, and we also be in the queue to vote next year. Why don't we see some minutes to be talking about what concerns us? And after that, we will do our show and business. That is what this segment means. Kwadwo, tell them something.